Good afternoon.
Hello, hello. We got a lot of lifts in here. How are you doing, Natalia?
Yes, I am good. So we are ready to start. Welcome everyone who joined us. So we have more and more people signing in. So thank you for taking time to be with us on Saturday. Um, it's 1 p.m. New York time. I know that some people are coming in overseas as well. So I hope you're enjoying your weekend. And I would like to introduce our host, Liv Hoibai. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce your last name, but
Perfect.
yes. So we decided to do this webinar together because it's a very interesting topic, and nowadays a lot of people are trying to open med spas, and then I get a lot of questions since we have a training academy and we're training a lot of injectors, get a lot of questions to how to do it correctly. A lot of mistakes that I made myself 10 years ago when I opened my first med spa. So there's no step by step guide that's available yet there how to avoid mistakes. Maybe that's something that we should collaborate and write on because there was a lot of mistake that I could have avoided if I would have had enough knowledge, which I didn't even know where to ask, or I didn't even know what I didn't know to ask and not to make those mistakes. So thank you for working with us. Thank you for agreeing to do that webinar. I think your insight would be very helpful. And we are ready to start and get ready to get a lot of helpful information. So it's for educational purposes. Obviously, we don't offer it as an advice. If you need any legal advice or business advice, we want you to obviously see someone who's an expert in that field. But the reason we decided to do that webinar, at least give you an overview of what you should be expecting and know then what to do and where to find additional answers. Okay. Some social media codes for those of you who are not following us yet. We have Instagram and YouTube codes for Liv's company, Injector Boost, and for us as well. So you could take a minute, scan the QR code, and be our followers. There's a lot of interesting information that Liv shares on her social media, as well as us, a lot of educational content. So sign up, and hopefully you will see more educational concept coming up from us in the future, and it would be very helpful in your journey in that exciting field. A lot of gifts for those of you who stay until the end. So we have some vouchers and some gifts coming up. So stay till the end. I will give more information a little bit later. And while we waiting for everybody to join, let's get to know each other. Please write in the chat where you're from. What is your expertise? Do you have a license already? Are you a medical professional? Are you a aesthetic professional? And do you have any med spa already, or are you planning to open a med spa? So please write it in the chat, and we'll go over the questions once. And you could submit your questions as well. So we will go over them at the end of the webinar. If there's any additional question that you would like to ask, you could definitely join us and leave us your questions. So while you writing your answers, I will introduce myself and our speaker. I'm Dr. Natalia Fazilova. For those of you who do not know me yet, I am a founder and director of Rebalance Beauty and Wellness Center in New York City. I'm also a director of Innovation Training Specialist CME Training Academy, where we offer CME accredited courses, and we train medical professionals and estheticians to become aesthetic providers. We have multiple programs available, which I will discuss later on, and that's one of the other reasons why I asked Cliff to do it, because once our students get trained, common question is now, what do I do with that knowledge? Where do I go? How to avoid mistakes? How do I set it all up? It's all exciting. Yes, so there's a lot of work to do, but it's all rewarding. I opened my med spa in 2016, still going strong through the COVID and everything else. So We had some ups and downs, but so far we're doing well and moving
And
forward.
today the seventh.
Maybe you can mute the people that are making noise,
Yes,
Natalia.
yes.
Maybe it's because they don't know it's on.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm doing as we go along. And I would like to introduce our lovely host, Leaf. She is a CEO as on Injectable Boost, the company that helps to launch and grow medical practices, especially in the medical spa world. And you have a very detailed and 360-degree oriented help that you offer in your scope because I was looking at the scope that you offer. It's wild. I wish I had you 10 years ago, basically, but I didn't. So I managed through. But a lot of things that you offer, it would be well helpful for people who are starting to get into that field and kind of starting to maybe planning to open something of their own. And I'm sure you would be sharing all that expertise with us during webinar. But in the meantime, let's see what is our audience and where they come from. Okay, we have people from New York, we have people from Connecticut, we have people from oh, wow, it's all over the place. We have New Jersey, we have Texas, we have California, Massachusetts. Thank you, everybody, for all of you who submitted your answers. And I see Atlanta, I see, what else? Mostly, I see nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, physicians, a dentist. Okay, so we have like a very interesting and wide crowd, so which
This
is
is so
good.
inspiring. Yeah.
Right, right, right. And we have from Tennessee, what else? North Carolina. Okay, wow. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining. And I'm sure you will find all this information helpful because even though we might have different rules and regulations to details and specifics of opening and running the med spa, but overall goal and function and how to set it up, it's more or less very similar regardless of what state they're in. So let's get started.
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right. Should I give a little introduction, Natalia? I feel like you covered it pretty well. I
Yes.
actually think
So
you
if you want
did.
to add something, if I miss something, by all means, please do so. And let's get
Yeah,
started.
I was just thinking about it. No, I think you did it perfect. So thank you so much for that. Let's get into starting a med spa, how to do it, and first of all, who can actually start a med spa? There is a very common myth that maybe a lot of you have thought about, where people say you have to be a medical professional to start a med spa, or that you have to have a lot of business experience maybe to start a med spa. And neither of those actually has to be true. So what if I told you that you don't need to have a medical degree or to have years of business experience to start a med spa? And what if I told you that, well, you could actually do this business that on average does between 1.8 to $2 million a year in revenue? And on average, across all med spas in the US, the owners take home between 300 to 500K a year. And we can scroll to the next slide here because it's not really something that's just like a fantasy. It's actually the reality of the medical spa industry today. But there is also a pretty, yeah, huge misconception, to be honest, about who can get a piece of this $25 billion pie, right? A lot of people say you have to be a doctor. And obviously, it's phenomenal if you are, but you don't have to be. And there's, in fact, a lot of people who can start a med spa and own a med spa. Actually, with the right guidance, almost everybody can start their own med spa. Although there are a couple different ways to go about it, depending on your background and your expertise as well, of course.
Yes. I would like to make a comment because people ask me that question. Since we do train, they ask me, "Oh, how come you training people? Aren't you breeding your own?" Basically it's going to be your competitors in the future. Yes and no. And but what I noticed since I started in 2016, and that's what gives me perspective, and that's perspective that I share with other people, either our students or whoever is asking me this question, that when I started in 2016, my patient population was 40 and up for wellness, for injectables. So now my population over 10 years is 20 and up. So yes, we're having now more injectors and more aesthetic providers, more wellness centers that are popping up. With my lucky hand, we already trained like 1,000 students in the past 4 years, which is fine. But everybody's injecting. What happened during the time period over 10 years, what I noticed was the demand increased for the services as well. Yes, there's more providers, but the demand is there too. And most of these treatments, they're not a plastic surgery that you do one time and you disappear for 15 years. All of this treatment needs to be done a few times a year. So patients, if they're starting in their 20s, they need to go somewhere to see someone for the next 40 years, if not more so, until they do their plastic surgery. Plus, plastic surgery doesn't take care of the skin issues, which a lot of the service of there's wellness part of it, which is very popular, and we're actually launching because there were so many people asking new wellness courses this month for IV drip, for peptides, for weight loss, hormonal imbalances. So the market itself, yes, it's growing and it will continue to grow, especially after COVID, when people realize that they need to be healthy. They would like to look beautiful. They would like to look young. The trend is there. There's more and more people getting and accepting to get the services, which means we do need more providers. It's just as you mentioned, it's the right structure, the right guidance, so that roadmap that the patient, if they patients or whoever is a provider who wants to do it, they have the right guidance and yet they scale. So they don't fail, but they scale. So that's something that we would like you to share your expertise on.
Absolutely. And typically, if we try and boil this down to three different categories, which we actually do want to do because it's super important that you define who you are, which category you fit into. And the first role could be the owner operator, as we call it. That's someone who does the treatments and runs the business. And then the second category is the owner manager, someone that is hiring some providers and, of course, focuses on growth as well. And then the third is going to be the investor owner, typically someone who hires almost everybody and oversees from above. And there's, of course, no wrong answer, but it is super important that you're intentional and that you have clarity around who you are and where you fit into, because that's going to determine how you go about launching your own med spa and what kind of med spa you are going to be starting. Yeah. Now, this is something that a lot of people are probably tired of hearing. You need a business plan. Like if you're considering starting any business, and of course a med spa as well, you have to have a business plan, and it has to be pretty in depth. However, a lot of people will tell you you need to have a 50-page, 100-page business plan. That's crazy. It's great, but it's better to focus on clarity. So we have created this one-page business plan that you should definitely have in place already now. Even if you haven't started thinking about what kind of med spa you want to start to write down, number one, what services will you be offering? And two, client, who is your ideal customer? And three, location, where will you be operating? Four, marketing. How are you actually gonna make this business successful? How are you gonna get clients in the door? And five, the team. Who do you need to hire? And six, the financing part. What is your year one revenue target? And maybe you're like, oh, I have no clue, but sit down, do some projections about how many clients do you project that you're going to be able to get throughout the first year, and be a little bit pessimistic with the numbers. That's how I typically like to go about it, because then you can't really be too surprised. Mm?
Yes, definitely something that people are not aware. And I remember when I was writing my first business plan, I had no idea what to put into it because I didn't know that all of it is needed and it has to be that complex. But I feel there is no right or wrong. You're absolutely correct. Location, you just need to know in that particular location, if you set to choose particular town, city, no matter where you are, you need to do first research to see who these people are, what's their mindset, and you need to understand what these people know so you would know what services to offer to these people. So definitely something that with right guidance, because that was my biggest question when I started. I'm marketing one thing and I'm not getting clients are not getting any leads or anything else. And then I realized whatever was offering was totally against the mindset of people that were in that location. So I had to change a couple of times my marketing when I started, and I was doing a lot of mistakes because I didn't understand from the get-go who was my population, who would need my services, and what kind of marketing they're looking for. So that's definitely number one to look into, getting that research done before actually opening the doors and not the way around as I done. I opened first and then everything else came afterward, which was a big mistake, but we made it through.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, another thing that, of course, people think a lot about when starting any business, but of course, especially a med spa, what does it actually cost? And when people come to us, they come with very different perspectives on it, and yeah, how much they think it's going to cost. Because you can truthfully start a med spa in a very lean way, but you can, of course, also go all in and spend, as much money as you possibly want to. Now, on average, if we have to again boil it down a little bit, the total range can be anywhere from 100,000 to 500,000 to successfully launch. And then if we boil it even more down into three categories, we can talk about the solo boutique category, which is you invest approximately 50 to 150K, where you have minimal staff or maybe just yourself, smaller space, and focused services. And in the mid-range clinic, you could be investing between 150 to 350 to get started, and you have typically multiple staff, an expanded space, and very diverse treatments also. And in the full-scale premium clinic, full-blown clinic, right? They could invest 350, 500K plus, right? You can go all in if that's what you want to do and if you have the capital to do so. Where you also have a large team, prime location, high-end technologies, and all these different things. And there's a lot of things to spend money on in the med spa field. So if you have it, that's great. But of course, again, there's no right or wrong answer here. It really all depends on where do you see yourself starting, and of course also what is your initial investment capital to get this off the ground. And of course, you can go from the solo to the mid to the full scale, or from the mid to the full scale.
Yes, and I will share a little bit my journey and plus the journey of some of my students. If for those of you who are on this webinar, just to give you an idea, because that's another common question that I get from my students. Okay, I got trained. What do I do now? Where do I start? So I started I was renting at the time 10 years ago a room from my colleague that I used to work with. He had a GYN office, so I started with one room. Within a year, I needed two rooms. Then I moved to another place because I outgrew. I was already having 3 to 4 rooms that I was sharing. And then in 2 years, basically, I partnered with other doctors and we got to the location that we are right now, a big 6,000 square feet space where we have multiple providers. So we scale. But what our students, and not everybody, it all depends what you're looking for. So what we have students that are trained with us from different backgrounds and do different things and want it for different reasons when they get into this field. I have some students who still work at the bedside. They still could be hospital trained in a nurse or a nurse practitioner, an MD, and they just started on the side. Start with family, friends, then maybe rent a room in the spa that's already has its own clients, and then eventually scale out because you will get access to all their clientele that's already there coming in for maybe regular facials, for any spa procedures, and then the owner could refer their clients to you to do more medical-based procedures. We had students who do home visit. That's another very popular treatment right now. I have multiple students who do home visits. They either do they might be doing IV drip business, and while patient is dripping and getting the IV drips, I have a few students who are doing it right now. They do offer additional services. Maybe patient will get Botox done after IV drip, fillers done, whatever it is, whatever service you could offer. I also have students that started solo. And then after a year or so, they left completely their bedside position and they now fully have their own clinic and med spa. So possibilities and varieties of what you do when you get into this profession is endless. But thing to consider based on the numbers that Liv is sharing here, you'll say, oh my God, I don't have that much money to put into the business. You don't have to. What I usually teach my students, things that are nice to have and need to have. If you are low on budget, you would like to start slow, solo, just to try it out to see if it will work for you or not. You buy minimally necessary supplies, something that you need to offer safe and appropriate care to your clients. And then as the revenue starts coming in, you start investing in more nice to have stuff, more expensive equipment, maybe a nice location that you are in right now, expanding, doing renovation. There's so much more that could be done. My biggest mistake was when I started the practice, I don't know what was I thinking, probably was not thinking at all. I bought an expensive laser machine. It was $150,000. Obviously, I'd leased it. They usually give first 3 months of free, no payments, to give you a chance to. No, but I just opened my location and I have 150,000 equipment, and I didn't have any patients. And it was, what was I thinking? I thought I will open the doors. The machine is there. People would be lining up next to my door waiting to get treatments. It didn't happen because I didn't know how to do proper marketing. I didn't know how to do a lot of things. So that was my biggest mistake. I mean, we made it through, eventually started marketing, did SEO. We did it. But if I would have started knowing what I know now, equipment, expensive equipment would have been the last thing that I would invest it in. And that's a lot of, and I've seen on a bigger scale med spas that do have income. First thing they do, they get a big location. They spend approximately 350 to 500K, invest in all the latest up-to-date expensive equipment, but then there is no patients and they don't know what to do with those equipment. So something definitely you need to speak to the business coach before you start and use the money wisely with need to have to nice to have. And once the revenue starts coming in, the initial investment that you have done, you could add then from the revenue that you're generating, from the client base that you're generating, you will start investing for more expensive procedures, more expensive equipment, better location, better renovation, fancier chairs, and whatever else we have in our mind. We all want to be in a place that's presentable, but there is a limit of where you start, so you kind of need to know what you're doing when you are starting.
That makes so much sense. And I'm actually happy that you're sharing that, Natalia, because a lot of people make that mistake, right? Because of course, when you just start out, you want it all because it's
Mhm.
so exciting and new. And great if you can do it, right? Don't get me wrong. But if you have a limited budget, then first of all, minimize some of all those things just a little bit so that you make smart decisions, of course.
Yeah.
And most importantly, have a plan for how do I get clients in for these fancy devices that I just purchased or all of my other services. Yeah. Now, for the location, again, I've put on some ranges here. It can be much different as well, but average for rent, well, $1,000 to $5,000 a month. Of course, you can pay a whole lot more as well, especially when you expand and get a bigger space and so on, and what city you're in, right? All of that depends. And you're typically going to be paying about 2 to 3 months of the rent upfront as a security, and the build out depends again, but typically 10 to 50K for a minor build out. And then again, you can go full blown and do a whole revamp of the space if you need to do renovation as an example, and floor planning and painting and like all these different things. And then for the furnishing, well, of course, you need some different furniture. 10 to 35K is the typical range for the clients that we work with, at least. And then a little pro tip, and I think this goes super well hand in hand with what you just said, Natalia. Again, if you have a big investment capital to start up this business, love it. That's amazing. If you have a leaner budget, then start with a smaller suite, about
Free
800
webinar
to
how
800 to 1200 square feet, and then you can of course expand later on. That's better than putting too much stress on yourself with having a crazy expensive rent. Yeah. Alrighty. Next up, where people, we just talked about it, the lasers,
Mm-hmm.
the equipment. And again, like I'm sure that all of you maybe here have seen so many ads for all the different lasers and body contouring and skin tightening, you name it, devices out there right now. Like it's blowing up my feed at least. And these devices can cost anywhere typically from 80 to 250K. We've also had med spas that purchase devices that cost around 300K. Personally, I don't recommend that because it doesn't necessarily mean that that device is worth it, that it's that much better than the other devices. Laser hair removal, 40 to 80K IPL, a little bit lower, and then we can go down and down, of course, until we reach injectables and the consumables. Typically, for the first purchase of supplies, for injectables as an example, our clients, they invest about 5 to 10K. Of course, you can do a whole lot more, but it's not necessary. And you can lease, just like you said, Natalia. Of course, you don't have to purchase the equipment all up front, but you can get some pretty good leasing deals nowadays, especially because there's a lot more competition than we had about 10 years ago. So now there's all these device companies fighting with each other. And something that we
Good.
also
Thank you
like
so
to
much
recommend,
for
or at least explore with our clients, and we can jump to the next slide actually, is exploring some pre-owned devices. Again, this is what I typically tell our clients. You don't need an old, rusty, dusty device, don't get me wrong, but you can just save so much money. And you still get warranty, you still get the training and everything. But don't overspend here. Because you can always, like the devices are not going to disappear. You can always get them when you expand and when you get the clients coming in, get some capital to reinvest, right? So
Yes.
yeah.
So don't listen. I love my reps. I'm usually work closely with my laser reps, with my injectable reps, and mm, we're great friends. And I love the guy who sold me my first laser. Then he opened up a big company of his own, but they're there to sell. And unfortunately, they're there to sell and make profit. And some reps are better than others. They might give you support, but a lot of times, some of the things that they promise, not necessarily, I shouldn't say it's not true. It all depends on how you will do the investment, but you have to be careful to listening to the rep that if you buy the machine and then, as I said, the line of people would be waiting for you. Might not happen. So you kind of need to, yeah, with a grain of salt, let's put it this way.
True. Love those microphones, huh? So
Yeah.
good background noise here. Something actually that I quickly want to add on is for the devices, like you said, I mean, the companies or and their sales reps, of course, they'll always tell you that their devices are amazing. And most of the time they are. But what they don't talk too much about is, well, are these devices going to actually be able to get your clients in the door? Because you can buy the most fancy device, but again, it's not going to sell itself.
Hmm.
It's not like if you say, I got this fancy brand that people are just gonna like magically figure that out and, book an appointment with you. You have to push it out there and tell people about it. And if you don't do that, well, you're not really gonna get a lot of clients. And there's a huge difference on what kind of devices that are performing best in marketing, as an example. Everybody, I guess, loves a good hydrofacial. Hydrofacial is just not the most sexy treatment for marketing, for online advertising. Organic is something different, like organic posting. But without going on a tangent, this is something that, of course, we would like to break down for you to make sure that you don't get a device that is not even going to be good at marketing. That said, as we have right here, we have a full cost breakdown of what it costs to launch a med spa. All of these numbers are, of course, estimates, but you can download it and we'll send you the link in the chat so that you can all download that right now. That's going to be pretty helpful. I'll send it to you.
Thank
And of course, well, a lot of people, they might not have 100, 500, $1 million to start a med spa. We help our clients get funding. Nothing is guaranteed, but if you really have a dream about launching your own business, your own med spa, then oftentimes we can make some funding happen. And there's many ways to go about that. For the legal structures, this is something that, well, it might be a little bit boring, but super important, right? Because it's very crucial that you get this right. So you can, of course, do an LLC, most common. Then there's the S Corp, P LLC, which is required in some states if you are a licensed medical professional. And then there's the MSO that are typically used when a non-physician wants to own a med spa in states where there is the corporate practice of medicine laws. And that's very important. I'm not going to go too much into detail about this right now because That's going to be a whole webinar in itself, I'm sure.
Oh, we just had a webinar
Yeah.
with our attorney last week, the one that I sent you, and she went into details. So I do get a lot of these questions. So before you decide to do a consultation, legal consultation, because the rules are different. And from what we find out after the webinar was over last week, that a lot of people they opened up the wrong company and were operating under the wrong company, not even knowing that they cannot. So if you provide professional services as medical services, you need to have either PLLC or PC, professional corporation that needs to be approved by State Board of Education. LLC and MSO are the companies that could be opened and registered to provide the business side of it. You cannot, and that's a common question that gets asked, you cannot, as a medical provider, provide services under the LLC or under the MSO. So it's for more business side. And again, there's a lot of documentation that needs to be properly structured. So do not do it on your own. Make sure you do a legal consultation, and you could always reach out to us. I'm sure Leaf could help you out with that too. Avoid mistakes because you could pay a lawyer doesn't mean that they do the right thing either. So you really have to do your research before you go into it. But it is a long process. In a sense, it takes time, especially when you provide PC and PLLC. So you need to have a timeline of when you're opening up a practice. When are you legally able to see patients? Because it might take I would say right now up to 3 months to get your PLLC or PC approved. So if you are planning to open up next month, but you don't have yet any paperwork, you technically it's illegal to practice without having any business structure. So keep that in mind, get proper consultation and make sure that you're on track with everything that you do. And feel free to ask questions and we hopefully would be able to help you out with that too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then to the medical director, which is for most med spas one of the most crucial and important hires because it is required in most states to operate legally. So that person must be a licensed physician, MD or DO, and their role is really for doing all the medical oversight, doing the protocols and the supervision. And now the cost, again, it can range so much, but typically $800 to $2,000 a month is what our clients start out with. But as you expand, if you end up getting a huge clinic where the MD's scope of service is just so much wider and bigger, then their fee is typically going to increase as well with it. But it's important that you get this right. Yes. And if you don't know where to get a medical director, well, that's of course something that we can help solve as well. Is it a good idea to start a med spa? That's probably a good question to ask on this webinar.
Yes.
Well, it depends, right? A lot of people probably have a dream about it, but you need to ask yourself some questions before you just go all into it. First of all, competition. And competition is not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to stress that. Natalia, you're in an area with a lot of competition, I'm sure, right? It also very often means that there is proof of concept. But how many med spas are within a 10-mile, 15, you could also go up to radius? Think about that. And what kind of services are they offering? And can you maybe sense or get an idea of what's doing well for them? And is there anything that's missing in your area? Something that people are not offering? And pricing. Approximately what are they charging? And how can you somewhat align with that or be more competitive, of course? Demographics, what is the local age, income, and demand? And differentiation. Can you actually compete on something? Service, experience, or price? Yeah.
Yes, so what we did when we opened up, I'm referring to pricing, wasn't sure how to price our services. And what we did, we reached out to the spas in our area, the med spas, and we kind of look at what they were offering. And we kept our prices within the range because if you go by, and there's certain clientele that would also always be price shopping, right? So they're looking for a cheaper deal. Not that they're bad clients, but unless you provide them value, they're gonna have that client once, and then they're gonna next treatment they're gonna go somewhere else that will offer them a better deal. So that's not the type of clients that you're looking for unless you would be able to keep. And a lot of our clients, if we happen to have those price shoppers, once you provide them a quality service and you stressed out the importance and you provide them something exceptional, they will stay. We had a lot of clients that got converted this way. But I once had, and I don't remember what treatment it was. We were running, I don't remember if it was a Black Friday deal. Like we really, really dropped the prices low just to, or we launched a new treatment. I don't remember. I think it was an O shot, PRP O shot procedure. And the average price in the area that I am is usually 1,200 or up to 1,500, up to 2,000, depending on where in Manhattan you were. And we were offering it for 700, maybe 800. And I remember one client came in and she was asking a lot of questions like who we are, what's our license, what product we use, what machine we use. And I couldn't understand because all of it is written usually on our website. She said, yes, I read the website page. And then I asked her, I was like, is there something like why there's so many questions? And it's like, oh, I just did the research. Everybody's charging 1,500 and you're half price. I thought maybe there's something wrong. Why are you giving this service for such a low price? That made me learn my mistakes that if people and a lot of people right now with social media and everything else they would be looking. So in her mind it was that if the expensive treatment is priced very low, there's something wrong. And then we assured her, obviously we showed her all our equipment, what we do the procedure, and we told her we're just offering it as a one-time deal for whatever it was at the Black Friday. I don't remember what it was, but that was the question that patient asked. So if you are in the neighborhood that's charging certain amount for one procedure and you're much, much, much lower, then the question could be from the consumer, why are you offering it for such a cheap price? There's something wrong with it, right? If you are offering much higher than what average in your neighborhood is charging, if you're able to provide it and pull it off and people are willing to pay you at such a high price, by all means, God bless you, good luck. Great, but you need to have some kind of support and proof why are you charging so. Maybe you are well off and known on social media and people are willing to pay. Totally fine, but you have to be careful and look at those numbers when you make those decisions because that might determine perception of the client that would be coming in and seeing you. So that's a big thing for you to consider. And with competitors, when I started in the building that I'm in right now, we had 6 or 7 med spa in one building when I moved in. But we all were busy with our client base because population in Manhattan is very dense too. So you might be doing a comparative analysis on a 10-mile radius, and you would say, "Oh, that place has only one med spa. I'm gonna go in, and it would be, I would be successful." Not so. If that 2-mile radius has one med spa and only 100,000 people, let's say on average, or even less, either A, the population is not interested in the services, or B, there's not enough people for the second med spa. That's why nobody ever opened up. You might have 5 med spa in 0.5-mile radius, but then population is highly dense and there is almost million people in that area. All 5 med spas are practicing and flourishing and everything is fine. So you really need to look at those demographics. And nowadays, with artificial intelligence, a lot of help is could be obtained from you could put the research, use ChatGPT, Claude, or
Liv, you're making a lot of noise. Everybody's name in here is Liv.
yes, I'm trying to find whose microphone zone I need.
Mute your phones.
I can find who's talking. Okay, let's move on.
All right, let's do it. If everybody here, if you can hear us, check if your microphone is turned on or off. Make sure to mute yourself, otherwise we can hear what you're doing if you're cooking or whatever you're doing. But the 5 biggest mistakes when wanting to start a med spa, I want to cover those for you here, or at least sum it up. Number 1 would be the wrong location. And maybe some of you already have a location set. That's awesome. But very often people forget to test demand before they just go out and sign a lease, right? All of us might have, if you live in this area where you want to open up a med spa, we want to have an idea at least that it's it's maybe a good area, or maybe I want to move to the city close to me or something like that. And feelings are great, but we want to look at data. We really want to stress test that idea, that hypothesis about, I think this area would be amazing to start a med spa in, and I feel like people really need peptides here, or I feel like people really need hydrofacial here. Test it. The way that we do that is, well, first of all, by doing a location and market analysis, but also doing test marketing before you sign a lease. Because that way you can go in and feel way better when you've signed the lease, because you already know the data. You already know people have demand for the different treatments that you want to be offering. And also that you put the right treatments on your menu, which is the second point, the wrong treatments. Again, like buying different devices or adding treatments to your menu just because of what you want to have on there, which of course is important as well, don't get me wrong, but please test it. Go out and see what people are actually looking for. And you can have, let's say, a menu of different injectables, but if you figure out that there is a huge demand for body contouring, consider adding that. And of course, always have some treatments that are high margins, so that it's not only treatments that have low to mid margins. Again, really think about how can I be profitable while helping people. And then 3, hiring the wrong staff. In any business, like real good team members, A players, they're maybe a little bit difficult to find sometimes. It's not the easiest, at least. And it's also about, well, how do I go about finding these people? Where do I go? Do I make a post online, and what do I pay them? How do I train them? How do I compensate them properly? Like what kind of bonus structures? But it is super important that you get someone who, well, preferably has some kind of experience in, of course, the aesthetic world, but more importantly, someone who is open to be trained on how do we make sure that our clients have an amazing experience when they walk in the door. And also, how do we make sure that when they walk out, they have committed to a high ticket package, or they've been cross-sold to other services, or they have purchased a membership. No business plan. You do not just want to launch without any projections or goals or a roadmap or a marketing strategy, right? Something that wrong live. There we go. Something that I say a lot is, why launch a med spa if you have no clue on how you're going to get clients in? Again, because even if you have the most fancy space or devices or treatments, it's not going to sell itself. And for the most part, word of mouth and referrals can only get you so far. So it's so crucial to have these plans in place. And then, of course, about the business structure, forming an LLC instead of an MSO or PC or PLLC, right? Very important that you're actually set up in a legal and compliant way. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Yeah. We talked about a lot of things that are things that you need to get in place before opening a med spa, and it might seem like a lot, but I also want to dive into the next slide, which is all the good things, or at least the 5 biggest good things about what's good about starting a med spa. Because, well, there's a lot of good things. What I find is best is, first of all, think about the amount of people that you're going to be helping. I think 8 out of 10 times when I speak to people that have this dream about starting a med spa, they say, I want to help people. Maybe they have, lost a lot of weight with the GLP-1s, or they've tried peptides, or they've tried any of these services, and they have seen how big of a difference those services make on themselves, or maybe families or friends. So they want to really help people with whatever they want to offer. And for other people, it's of course because they want to launch and run a really successful and profitable business. And there is super high profit margins in the med spa industry. On a lot of services, there is 70 to 80% margins if you do it right and do your pricing right. And you can also get a lot of reoccurring revenue, which is fantastic. First of all, a lot of patients, they will return, right, to get their Botox or get some more fillers down the road or get their microneedling, whatever it might be. But also with GLPs, they're going to be paying you monthly. With memberships, they're going to be paying you monthly. That is that's a really beautiful thing, in my opinion, for a business perspective, at least. And also it's pretty recession resistant. And what that means is, throughout the well, I guess many hundreds of years, we've had times where there's been the COVID, right? Natalia, you survived that. Well done with that. And for a lot of businesses, they go out of business at those times. But the med spa, the beauty industry, the wellness and health industry, it never really goes completely out because people always need their beauty treatments or their health treatments. Again, because it actually makes them feel better. And of course, it depends on what kind of services you're offering. And then number four, true freedom. Building a business is a lot of work. So it's not like you're gonna sit on a beach in Mexico and build this business. It does take hard work and time. I'm sure that you can say yes to that, Natalia.
More
Yeah,
than yes, but yeah. Well, but it's effort well put in. That's what I will say.
yeah.
To be successful, yes, it takes a lot of time and effort, but it's rewarding. And I like that field because it's positive, because you don't deal with bureaucracy, you don't deal with hospital grind. You could choose how many days you work, you could choose how many hours you work, you could choose the patient population that you deal with. Mostly young and healthy people come in, even if it's older, they're still healthy. You don't deal with cancers, you don't deal with, I can't, like personally, I was never able to work like hospices would never for me. For example, my medical, I guess it's the mindset as a medical provider, you're there to cure someone, heal someone, help them to feel better and let them go home. That's kind of a mentality that I had, or perception of medicine. So I work for a short time in a long-term care facility, and I work a short time in oncology unit. I can't stand. I was so burned out because I felt like I'm not helping people to achieve anything. Because hospice care, we know that they are dying and they're gonna leave this world one day. And in a long-term care facility, the same thing. They just living out their last days. So it kind of made me depressed, and I couldn't. In this field, though, at least you don't have to deal with it. Obviously, there's a positive and negative, but it's an atmosphere where people are looking to look better, looking to feel better. And one more thing that actually made me, when I was working in those units, take care of myself. So my when I do get older, I will be living quality of life, take care of myself, be on the wellness path, because my other part of the business is holistic wellness. I'm certified in integrative medicine, so we provide hormonal imbalances. I do Chinese herbology, so it kind of matches in, and that's the trend right now, to combine aesthetic business with the wellness business as well, because people want to look great and they want to feel great as well, and vice versa. If they feel great, they want to look great. So combining and offering new services and adding to the revenue, consider at least not to do just Botox fillers and PRPs, for example, but adding GLPs, peptides, IV drips is very lucrative too. And we actually, a couple of years back, we designed a whole protocol, which we would be teaching in our IV drip class coming up in a couple of weeks. We have patients coming in, we do a combined, they get IV drip and they get a facial or some kind of aesthetic treatment while they're getting on the IV drip, which helps with revenue. You're talking about revenue here, but you basically spending the same amount of time, the same space for a patient, the same hour, but you're doubling the income because they paying for IV drip, and then they paying for additional procedures that they're receiving while they're getting an IV drip. So when we talk about revenue structure building, offering those services in combination, it's a great mindset to run the business and promote the business as well. So yes, definitely a lot of things to know and do, but once it all set up and you're working on it, it usually brings enough revenue for you to pick and choose which day you work, pick and choose how many hours you want to work, pick and choose which patient you want to take care of, and refuse some of the patient, which you could legally do in United States. You could refuse. You don't have to take on a patient that doesn't have the same values, or doesn't have, or you don't fit with each other. So definitely something to consider. But again, it needs to be all set up right. That's true.
Yeah. And yeah, if you're seriously looking to start up your own med spa, or maybe some of you have a med spa on here already and you want to grow it, well, we're actually going to be offering, I know, Natalia, you have something to offer as well, but free 15-minute strategy sessions with our team to walk you through how we have launched and also scaled over 150 other med spas all across the US before, and want to take you through how can it work for you if we can help you. Mhm.
Okay. Training requirements, and you tell me, Liv, what are your thoughts? Because I see and I retrain a lot of time, which is very sad, actually. People take one-day courses, they think they're expert and they would be successful in their careers. When I got trained in 2014, there were not many training schools available, and I taken the one-day courses, and I felt that I'm not prepared, so I didn't inject. I got trained in 2014. I opened my location in 2016, 2 years later after training, because I was not comfortable and confident that I would be providing the right care to my patients. So, what is your maybe experience that you had with people? Are they more successful when they do get more training, or is it enough to do one day trainings? Because in other countries, one day trainings don't exist. Even if you go to Canada, they have different
True, yeah.
levels of 1 month, level one. You are from Denmark, I think you said, right? And you guys also
Yeah.
have different European, like 1 month, level three, level seven, level
Yeah, I
what?
mean, it's not like it's not even a thing. If you go
Yeah,
to Northern Europe, like Denmark, where I'm from, like you have to have months of
right,
training.
right. So
Yeah.
yes, what I end up doing after I took my 1 day courses, I was like, I couldn't find anybody else who will offer any shadowing or internship experience. So I end up going out and traveling to different countries outside of the United States to get the training, where I spend a week or 2 weeks or some additional online support and training until I felt confident. And then I opened my practice in 2016. So when I opened my school 5 years ago, right after COVID, I promised to myself, so if I would be teaching people, I would not be offering 1 day courses, at least at the beginners levels. I would be offering, and that's what we do. We offer internship. We offer months internship, 2 months internship, 3 months on the medical side for estheticians as well that newly graduate. And then once you get that basic knowledge, expertise in beginners level, then they could come in and take 1 day courses for some kind of advanced skill. And
Yeah.
then I'm trying to get it officially as a residency program to NCC. I don't know. I've submitted all the paperwork. Hopefully it goes through. I'm afraid other schools will stone me or ambush me somewhere behind the corner because I would be making it official. But I feel that's my passion. If I'm teaching or if I'm offering people to learn, it has to be done the right way. And you tell me if you've seen anything similar happening and what's your thought process on this.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even count the amount of times where I've had people tell me, I actually do not feel ready to go out and do the treatments after a 1 or 2 day course, depending on what treatment it is. Like last week, we had someone who was getting certified in PDO and, of course, injectables like Botox and fillers, or Botox, I think it only was. But she had like a 4 day course, and that was way more sufficient for her. And I think it is for most people, like, unless you for whatever reason have some like prior training on it, like it's just so crucial that you feel fully confident in your abilities before you go out and inject people or do any kind of service, because patients will be able to tell, obviously, if you're like, oh, nervous. And it's okay to be nervous on your first couple of clients, don't get me wrong, but yeah, like, can't skip out on the training, like it has to be properly done.
Right, and if you, I mean, mistakes happen. Nobody's perfect, obviously. Complications happen, and we go over it a lot in our trainings. But the confidence level that you mentioned, that's a big role as well. And plus, think it's people's faces that you're working in. If you did something wrong and it's on the body part and it could be covered up, there's nothing much that could be done if it's someone's face, right? So kind of have to take it seriously. And the better experience you are, the better results you will achieve for your clients, which means you will have happy clients coming back, right?
Yeah.
So that's success of a business also depends on the quality of treatment that you would be providing to your patients. So that's something to consider as well. A little bit of what we offer. We do have internship, as I mentioned, which is hands-on. We have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. We have for estheticians. We have for medical providers as well. And our courses are CME accredited. Botox fillers, PRP, biostimulators, PDO thread, intimate rejuvenation, IV drip, weight loss, peptides. There's a lot. We do offer business marketing as well as a training, CME certified, chemical pills. But regardless of where you start, choose what you think you could feel comfortable with doing at the beginning, and you will never stop learning if you're getting into this field. I'm attending a conference next weekend actually for a new peptide combination of peptide and static treatments, which I was waiting for a long time. So I'm always learning. I'm still taking online training, so it is why am I still taking classes? You would think after 15 years I know everything. No. Anytime when there is new treatment that comes up, it's popular on its social media, I either get trained on it, try it myself, because people, consumers are seeing marketing that other companies are doing for either new equipment, new product. You need to be aware of that treatment either, and I try it myself, get trained. If it's a good treatment to offer, it brings good results, then I will be offering to my clients as well because they see it, they will come and they will ask me. If I try the treatment or got trained and I realize it's another fad that in a couple of months will disappear, if patient asks me about it, at least I will have enough knowledge to give them an advice saying don't try it or it's not for you, it's not for your skin type or not for your problems. So I have at least a qualified, educated answer to give them and give them an advice if they should try the treatment somewhere else. So I recommend when you get into this field, constant be on top on everything that's happening right now with new treatment, new equipment, because you will have consumers coming in and asking those questions. So something that you need to be aware of while you're practicing. Our graduates, so 1,000 graduates in 5 years on both sides, medical and aesthetic. We do train estheticians as well, have a long list of aesthetics. And what we do usually to our graduates, we do not just train them and let them go. We have our WhatsApp group where we continue and stay together. If they have any questions, they could communicate in that WhatsApp group. It's like a little community that we have with over 500 people right now in that group. And what it helps students to do once they're in the group, if they have any questions, if there's something going on, they're short on supplies or something happened, they don't know what to do with the client, they usually submit that question in the chat. And if I have time, I will answer. If not, my more experienced students, they will help each other and answer back for them. And kind of makes me proud that we have such a supportive community for our students. They don't feel alone like I was 10 years ago. I didn't know who to ask those questions, but at least they know that there's some support available. And our students are very helpful to each other. I'm actually very glad and proud of it, but I was surprised how supportive the community is because sometimes in other groups you see that people usually not supportive, but our students somehow they stay together and they support each other as well. So after all this information that we shared, some bonuses that I promised. So Leaf was nice enough to provide a 15-minute call. We have a QR code here when you could scan and book a call with Leaf if you have any questions, if you're planning to start a med spa or you already started and might need a little help to move on, more be marketed or have some business structure questions, you could schedule a call and she would be able to, if not help you, but at least guide you in the right direction. You could schedule a call with me as well. A QR code with my calendar is on the screen. If there's anything that maybe I could help you with, I'm more than willing to do that. We have a QR code to the budget spreadsheet that Liv was mentioning before, and I believe it already was sent into the chat, correct, Liv?
Absolutely.
Already
Yes.
posted. And if you have any questions on our training courses, you could scan the QR code as well. Takes you to our calendar, a lot of information on different trainings that we provide that might be something that you're interested in. So definitely could do that as well. And we are offering also a gift voucher for anybody who is interested in any of our classes. The QR code, you could reach out to our call center. They would be able to help you. And I believe you offering the free business plan, right, Liv, to all our attendees?
We're offering a full free strategy call where, first of all, you're gonna come onto a phone call simply with one of my partners, and they're gonna walk you through whether or not we can help you. And if we can, then you'll get on a call with me where I'm gonna build your MedSpa launch plan. Or if you have a MedSpa, build a plan on how we can simply make it more successful, get more clients in, and make more profit in the business.
No, that's great. As I said, where were you 10 years ago? But that's Okay, so questions. We have a lot of questions that came in, and let's see if I would be able to answer them and leave maybe some questions to you, some questions to us. So,
We have one about business credit. How do you build business credit to get approved for business loans or financing if we're just starting? That is a phenomenal question, by the way. Typically, the truth is, if you don't have another business that you want to put it on, you don't wait for business credit to start. You actually force it to grow while you launch your business. In the beginning, a personal credit is typically going to be used, and it's also typically the key that unlocks the door for you to launch your own med spa. But the business credit is what keeps it open. So we have like a full list of many different ways that you can get funding. You can, of course, go the SBA route, but it's typically a pretty lengthy and long process. Credit card stacking, go to different banks, and then there's many different funding companies out there that you, of course, can research and figure out which one is a fit for you. But the first thing is you need to get your entity and EIN, right? And then you can start building your business credit. But it is typically going to be pretty depending on your personal credit in the beginning.
yes, so when I opened up, I did because I was sure that I would need some extra money, so I applied and obtained a line of credit, something to consider when you would be looking for funding. Why line of credit? Line of credit's a certain amount would be given to you, but you don't, if you don't need to use it, you don't have to. You will have it in case you do need, and you're not paying any percentages or anything until you start using, and you're only paying for amount that you use. So I remember I got approved for 50,000 at the time, and I was as I was going through the expenses for the business, then I would take, let's say, 10,000. I know I still have 40,000 left, and I will spend only 10,000. So I would be paying back only on the 10,000 I spend. And then I take another 10,000 or whatever amount was needed. So when you're looking for options, see if line of credit will work for you. That's number one. There's a lot of programs that offer grants, might be a little bit more lengthier, but there's a grant for women-owned businesses. If you're a woman, there is a grant for a skin of color business. So there's a lot. There's a lot, at least in New York State. So I received a couple of grants as well. And I was opening. There is a few companies that help new owners to open up, and they will provide 0% loan for a certain amount of time. You don't have to have a business credit to obtain the loan. If you have good income, you could start with the personal a business personal income as a guarantor, and then once you have some revenue coming in the business, you could always get more financing if needed based on the business credit. But at the beginning, if you are employed and have income coming in, it could be an your personal income that would be under consideration. So yes, it's not easy. It takes time to collect the paperwork, to submit it. SBA is probably the longest process, might take a month or two. Something else that you could consider when you are planning, that you have to have enough time for documentation management or proper legal organization. If you need money, you submit the application before you start, so you have enough time to receive the money. There's a lot. There's a lot. So you need someone that could guide you on this and do it properly, avoiding mistake. My other mistake that I've done when I started out, when I was short on cash and it was taking some time to obtain the SBA loan. I don't remember what it was over 10 years ago. I applied for merchant cash advance. They made it sound so easy, and so you pay only daily fee or a weekly fee. But then at the end of the month, when I noticed that I was paying almost 20% and money was coming out of your bank account without even you knowing, on weekly basis, daily basis, whatever we had set up, I was glad when I paid off, because I didn't realize it's going to drain so much of my income, because you are making those weekly or months, not even monthly, it's bi-weekly, weekly, or daily cash advances that they offered. Was a big mistake. Again, I didn't know. I didn't know, and that was a mistake. I do not recommend getting merchant cash advances if anybody ever offers it to. It's horrible percentage rate. Yes, they will give you money in 2 days, but percentage rate and payment plan is very difficult to sustain when you are running a business, because you might not make enough revenue to cover the expenses that is caused by the percentage of that loan. So keep that in consideration. Another question is, how do I do research market analysis?
Great question. And that could also be a whole webinar in itself, but
I think we already have a topics for our next 5 webinars.
yeah. Well, that's great.
Yes,
Really.
that's great. That's great.
To try and break it down as simple as I can, we're gonna do first of all a wallet test. And a wallet test is we go out whatever area or city you're in and we test how much money does people have? What's the average household income? And what is the target age that would be your ideal client avatar for your clinic? And then we go out and do a saturation map competition. That's the second phase where we see, well, is it viable for you to open up in this location depending on how many other med spas that are offering the same services that you're planning to offer? And what can we do to make sure that you stand out so you can get the clients? And then step three would be intent check. So we want to go, somebody's calling me. One moment, guys. There we go. Then we go out and check, well, are people searching for Botox, microneedling, body contouring, peptides, whatever it might be in your area? We check that. And if you see that there is typically above 1,000, that's a pretty good benchmark, local searches per month. That's a pretty good indicator that people are searching. But if it's below that, probably you want to consider if that's actually what you want to have on your service menu. And then, of course, we most importantly do test marketing, no matter if it's in the market analysis or the location analysis. Even if you already have a location and a lease signed, we still want to do test marketing to see that, okay, there is proof of concept. The services that you have, they're actually going to sell and be profitable. Also in regards to pricing and packages and so on. Yeah.
Somebody's asking to keep the slide up. They missed the slide with all the contact information. I just went back. Another question is, what was the question? Would we get recording of the webinar? Yes, webinar is getting recorded, so we will send whoever is registered for the webinar, we will send recording of the webinar to you if you couldn't stay until the last one, because a lot of people saying we might be at work and they're coming in and out of the webinar, miss some part of it. So we definitely would be, we will send it out. And how do I set up? Hold on one second, let me read the question. How do I know? We kind of answered it a little bit. How do I know the price point and what discounts to offer? I guess that's the question. We said already we go over the prices, try to be competitive more or less within the range with people that are in your neighborhood. But how do I know how to set discounts and special offers? I mean, you could offer and you could explain, and then I could give examples from our practice.
Yeah, I mean, it depends a lot on what kind of clinic you're looking to be. Are you looking to be this extremely premium high-end clinic that has, higher pricing than all the other clinics, but then you're just different in other ways? Or are you want to be more like mid-range or low end, where you target more like the Groupon clients and the people that really love a good discount? Like there are so many different ways to go about it, but typically you're of course gonna look at your competitors and see what they're doing, and then just test it. No one is ever gonna come at you if you change your pricing. I mean, some of the bad clients might, but that's all right. That happens, right? But even if you start out a little bit lower, you can increase your pricing over time, which is pretty normal for any kind of business as the market grows, of course, and demand as well.
So, in my experience, I usually say yes. It is okay to offer certain discounts if you want to, if you're launching a new treatment, or if you would like to bring certain clientele to give it a try. The way we structure is instead of giving discount, we offer value to the package. So instead of, and I will give you an example, it changes the way, it changes the perspective of a client. So instead of saying, what would be a good example? Instead of kind of giving, I don't know, 50% off discount for Black Friday, for example, or in your service, add value to it. So, for example, PRP treatment, right? Let me take something that's easier. PRP treatment, I don't know, roughly $500, $600 per treatment. So instead of offering PRP treatment at 25% off and do it 400, offer it PRP treatment 600 plus another service at 50% off, or plus a free facial, plus a free. So you're not discounting the service, you make it more valuable for them to get the services done. So instead of decreasing in price, you add more value. This way, you will have an opportunity. If you're combining or adding value, you could have an opportunity when patient come in to try that service with complimentary whatever it is you're offering. Then you have an opportunity, if patient likes it or see good results, to offer that complimentary service next time for the value it actually entails. So that's one way of doing it. And then another way of being offering a little bit of a present or a bonus to your clients that are already in the business, which a lot of us forget about. You're trying to get more new and new clients coming in, but more revenue, and Liv, correct me if I'm wrong, more revenue comes usually from the clients that are already loyal to you. And that those are cheaper for you marketing wise to get the clients as compared to the new ones that you are come in. So offering as a gift, as a thank you promotion to a client that's already been in your clinic for some time, it's always more valuable. They already trust you, they already know your service, the quality of the service that you provide. You offering them a little birthday present, a bonus or something else to
Mhm.
bring them back or to reactivate them in your system. Let's say they were here last year, didn't come in yet for this year, but do it at the point again with adding value to the service instead of discounting. This one, you will keep their loyalty up and you will kind of increase your revenue, kind of getting the same clients through the door. And these are cheaper client to acquire as compared to when you're running around and trying to spend a lot of money on marketing of getting new clients through the door. Questionable if they will stay. They might be the ones that just going to come in for that special deal, and next time they will go to another place. So you're spending a lot of money on clients that will never cover the cost of marketing for you when you're coming in. And Leaf, I'm sure you will have enough to say about that topic too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great point. Of course, it's always going to be cheaper for you to retain your current clients than it is to acquire new ones. And with anything that you do, whether it's to get your existing clients to come back in the door or acquire new clients, you have to stand out. So I totally agree, even though discounts are, amazing, everyone loves a good deal, it's so much better to stack value in other ways and make yourself stand out. So instead of saying, come in and get some Botox, come in and get microneedling, whatever you offer, how is it going to help your clients? Explain why they should choose you so that they have a reason instead of just scroll or walk past your clinic and go to the competitor that is maybe offering it at a cheaper price, right? So yeah,
Yes. So,
absolutely.
another question is about our training. How are your trainings? How many models we inject? How many students in the classroom? A very good question. So we usually, the way our trainings are structured, especially if people come for internship, 1 month, 2 months, everybody chooses what they want. We do lecture part with the bigger group, as you could see on the image here. We usually have 5 to 10 people, but that's the lecture. And then we split the group in 2 to 3 up to 4 students during internship days when they have a chance to inject. They usually shadow me in a clinic. So they see how I work with the clients, how I do consultation, how do we provide service, what's going on in the clinic, how the clinic is run. And in between our patients, we add models to the schedule as well. So they inject on models under my guidance. And we have usually 2 to 3 students during that time. They take turns. And roughly, we might see per day 20 to 30 clients, depending what service they come in. It's not the amount of client that you see, but the scope of work that you do for that client. And I will give you an example. You might have a client that comes in just for a quick Botox treatment, right? One client just did the forehead and left. And then you might have a client that come in, they will do Botox for the full face, forehead, jawline, a masseter, platysmal band, plus they will do a filler, plus they will come back and do PRP. So you might see multiple treatments on one client, or you might do 10 different clients, just one area. So there is no right or wrong on how many clients, or patients you see or practice on. It's the skill and understanding where to inject, how to do the assessment, because as a medical provider, I'm sure all of you have held syringe in your hands and know that the skill of how to inject. The more important is the knowing the anatomy, who needs what kind of treatment, what do you offer the patient, how do you perform the treatment. That's where you need a lot of hands-on portion, and you will get plenty of hands-on. As I said, we sometimes have 20 to 30 clients in the clinic doing different services, and when you come for internship, you will get experience seeing those clients. We do not have big classes for hands-on, small groups. Everybody has a chance to inject, and our students, I mean, nobody complains because they get great experience. Sometimes we don't have time to go to the bathroom. Usually, I try to give break to my students, but it is a busy practice. We do get a lot of models on different procedures, so you will see not only the clinical side of it, but because it's in the clinic and not just the training day, you see day-to-day operation of a clinic as well, which a lot of people, I didn't know that when I started the practice as well. How do we set up the charting? How do we do the scheduling? How the room is set up as well, because when you're training in the training center, you just have supplies needed for this particular day of training. When you are in the clinic, you actually see the whole setup, where things are, what supplies are needed, emergency kit, and how the patients are taken from one room to another, who does what. I have medical assistant, I have my statistician that help. So you will have an opportunity to see that part which nobody trains on actually. There is no specific training how to set up the clinic. There's no specific training. Maybe we should do a class so you live like my
Yeah.
a webinar. My ideas are running like from the questions that they're being asked. So yes, it is
Yeah.
intense and a lot of hands-on, and definitely if anybody interested, then we could you could schedule a call and I will explain more. Other questions?
Did you answer the question about if you provide training for those of us who are not clinicians but are in the process of opening a med spa?
Well, we do help, and I'm sure you live will help as well because what it depends what questions are needed to be answered. So if it's a legal question, then it's support from the attorney that we could help with. If it's on the business marketing side, Liv could help with that part. So definitely, and we could share our own experience. You're welcome to come in if you're local and see how our med spa is set up. Definitely something, and I usually go once our students, if you not following our Instagram, you could do so. Our students, when they launch their clinics, I usually go and support them as well. I go for their grand opening and we kind of go over if there is any vendors or supply helps you need. We share with whoever we work with certain vendors. We actually were able to lock in certain discount prices for our students. So we try to support you as much as we can. And as I said, on the marketing side, Leaf probably would be a better support for you with how to do the marketing, how to do the market analysis, and everything else.
Absolutely. What else do we have? Is finding investors something you recommend we do to build business capital? Sometimes it depends on your situation, to be quite honest, and how much you need as well. Otherwise, grants is of course also something we talked about and a pretty good option as well.
Yes, so two things that I will mention because I looked into it at some point. I was looking for an investor when I started out. What to look for or what to uh, I created at the end because I spoke to many of them. I created at the end the checklist. I need to find it. I'm sure it's probably somewhere. I rarely erase anything. It's almost like a resume of an investor. That's what it was. My checklist. What is, are you on the same page with the investor? That's basically what you need to look into. I end up not going with the investor. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I will just tell you what to look into if you planning to do that. Make sure that your business goal and your clinical goals on the same page. I've heard and I've seen cases when business investor, because they have business mind, which is nothing wrong with that. If you're going into it, you will need to develop that business mind, but you do not want to compromise your clinical integrity if the business side is more predominant or prevalent, they might tell you how to provide your clinical care so there is enough revenue to cover the business, which is, yes, it's right, but where is that fine line between you making those clinical decisions versus a business investor telling you, no, you have to see 15 people, let's say, and I'm just randomly giving you numbers. In 3 hours, you need to see 15 people. You need to do this part. You need to add this. You need to use this equipment or this product. And it might not be the best product from your clinical perspective. So something to discuss. And if you go into that, you would be, and actually legally, you're supposed to be the one who make those clinical decisions. So when we had the webinar last week with Allison, our attorney, we went over it in detail. And whoever, if you want, I don't know, webinar, send me a message. I could send you the recorded. We reported that webinar. When MSO agreements are done, there's specific provision needs to be in that MSO agreement that clinical decision needs to be done by clinical providers, not by the business side of the business, because you cannot, it's still practice of medicine and it's illegal in practice of medicine to offer treatments that patient doesn't need, to pay referral fee for getting the patients for certain treatments. So there's a lot of rule and regulation, and you would like to keep your integrity intact when you are working in this business because you're still providing medicine. So something to consider, keep in mind when you get into business partnership with another person, if you're looking for investors, who will make clinical decisions, and they should have no say of who gets the treatment, who doesn't get the treatment. It's totally up to you because at the end, God forbid something goes wrong, it's your medical license would be on the line. On the business side, they have nothing to lose except the money. So it's something to consider. I had a few instances when that conversation came up, and it wasn't a pleasant experience, let me put it this way. How long did you take you to see a profit from services? Well, if you launch it correctly with proper marketing, profit is there. I have again, how much, it depends how much you invested to begin with. I started small. So I opened up in when was it? I opened up in June of 2016. So by September 2016, in 3 months, we were like already at the point when we were covering our expenses and had a little bit left over. But what I did at the beginning, I wouldn't take profit back home. I was investing in more marketing or getting and expanding. And as I said, in a year, I moved into another place where we had more rooms. So I was using the profit that was coming in on expansion because that was my goal. I'm very ambitious. For those of you who know me, was on that webinar, you guys know. But you don't have to be this way. So a lot of our students, they're happy with the profit they make. They still say for a couple of years already, they're only using 1 or 2 rooms. They're doing it on the side. They're slowly building their practice. They're not rushing anywhere. And that's totally fine too. It's all depends on the goals you have and what are you looking to achieve when you get into this business. So as long as you're doing it correctly and you're not in a minus at the end of the month, you're covering all your expenses, you're covering the marketing, the supply, the rental, and then you have some profit left. It's up to you to decide what are you going to do with that profit. Are you paying off the loans faster, which is something else that I've done from the profit that I was coming in. I was paying off all the credit cards and loans that I attained at the beginning because I didn't want to drag it with me moving forward. So it all, again, with proper business structure and business planning, it could be done successfully. It just needs to be done the right way. Leave anything that I missed?
I agree, 100%. I think you covered it pretty well. I think someone else also asked if, and let me know if I maybe misunderstood this, but if a non-US doctor can start a med spa or practice any kind of treatments or something like that. But if you are an international doctor or MD, you can't really practice medicine or own a med spa either in the US without a US medical license. I think that answers pretty shortly. So then you would go ahead.
Yes, as a foreign trained medical provider, because we have students that coming in internationally, you could get trained, but you cannot legally provide medical service unless you have a license, RN and PPA MD, right, for all these treatments. What could be done, because you could open a business aspect of it. You could be an owner of a medical spa on a massage side, but you would need to have a medical provider providing services that's done to the patients. So if you're planning, and I had a few patients while they were studying, while they were trying to get the education and licensing in place, they were business owners on a business side of a medical spa, and they had other people with medical license providing clinical treatments. So you cannot be a medical director, but you could legally be a business owner. It has to be set up the right way. It just remember you cannot offer any medical treatments if you are not licensed in United States. So that question comes up a lot, and we do get a lot of people that coming in from other countries. They still trying to get their licenses in orders, and you cannot provide clinical treatment, but you could be on the business side of that business, that practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions that we missed? I think we offered, I think we covered all of them.
Guys, if there is anything that we haven't covered, put it in the chat again because I'm gonna put the blame on me. Apparently, everyone's name here is Liv. So if we've missed anything, it's because all of you are Liv. So we actually can't really see what your name is. So put in my name is whatever and then your question. Then we can see a little bit easier. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
Well, no, because they all went in from the same link. That's why whoever is registered, we could see the names, but whoever came in with the ready link, that's why. That's okay. We
Yeah.
have all their contacts, so we will be sending out the webinar recording, and we would be reaching out, and they have an opportunity to reach out to us. So it was a pleasure to be with you during that
Oh, I
webinar.
think we have one question.
It was something else we didn't answer.
Yeah, let's do the last couple ones here. Someone someone thinking about adding quantum molecular therapy and the wave therapy.
Uh-huh. Yes. So it's getting very popular right now it's more like on a holistic realm to offer those treatments. Two things to consider. A, if there's interest in that treatment in your area where you are, do a little research. If you already have a clinic, you could send out a survey kind of email or SMS blast and ask those questions. Get trained on it and see if anybody else in your neighborhood is providing this treatment. See what their fee structure is, because there's certain areas. There's certain population of people that are very much into wellness and holistic, and there's certain population of people they're not. So you need to find out if you are in that area that's looking for those services. And usually, if there is no such service offered in that area, it could be two things: that either A, there's no demand, or B, just nobody ever offered it. And depending on demand versus no demand, if there's no demand and nobody's interested, then offering it for you probably will not be successful. If there's demand, it's just there were no providers that will offer the treatment. And how would you know? You need to do the survey and research analysis on that as well. Then you would be successful by offering it and marketing it the right way. I will give you an example. I'm in the city, I'm in Manhattan on 59 and Madison. So I have my practice is divided in half because we do different things, but I have a practice of patients that want only Botox fillers, PRP, something that only don't forget about wellness, forget about the diet plans or anything else. They're not interested in it. They want a quick fix. They want to look great. They don't care about the wellness part of it. And that's what we offer. And then I have another group of clients that they don't want Botox. They don't want anything that's unnatural. They don't want chemicals. They're more into holistic and organic realm. And that's what we offer for them. We offer wellness, functional approach, rejuvenation, anti-aging, peptide, something that's more, I usually call them whole food organic patients as a teaser, but that's the group of patients. For them, we offer PRP biofillers if we are talking about aesthetic, organic skincare products. And it is, I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's a personal choice. So you just need to make that decision which way you want to go or have a dual practice like we do, because there's a lot of people in the city where I am that want to be on a natural way and a holistic way, being natural. I'm totally fine. We have enough services to offer that group of people. And then we have a group of people who want quick fix and just look great and they don't want anything else. Okay, fine. And that's what we offer. We always do educational email blast and kind of webinars to try to get those people that are on the beauty side to cross over Does not always happen, but at least I'm not losing on the population of patients because I offer both. And it's up to you if you want to decide to do this way, or there's a lot of our students that just stay in the wellness side of it. They never cross to the aesthetic. Or I have enough students that do just aesthetics and never cross to wellness side. But it's up to you to make the decision after doing a very detailed market analysis. Another question is if everybody eligible for internship. If you're a licensed provider, if you're an RN and PPA or MD, the question is yes. For non-licensed providers, if you're an esthetician, we do provide aesthetic internship as well for esthetician for non-injectable, non-medical services too. Lasers, dermaplaning, chemical peels, facials, microneedling, and whatever else. So we have two programs. But for any program, you have to have a license, either static license or a medical license. You should be allowed to provide the services under your medical licensure in your state to be able to join our program.
And Natalia, do you offer online or in-person training or both?
We have both. We offer online training for T-Report. We offer live trainings at our clinic, plus we offer internships. So we kind of have a scope of different type of courses.
Awesome.
Okay, I think we answered all of them. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Looking forward, if you didn't get a chance to schedule a call with Leaf or schedule a call with me, and hopefully we would be able to help you and make you a successful business owner or be a solo practitioner in that particular practice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so
Hi,
much,
I
guys, for
still
being
have
here.
a question.
Oh.
I'm not sure if you can hear me.
Yes, go ahead. We could hear you.
Yes, hi. I did my certification with someone else. Can we still do the internship with
Yes,
you?
definitely. We do get people who get trained and come just for the internship. Yes, absolutely.
And then where are you located?
We're in the New York City.
Oh, you're in New York. Okay. I'm in California here.
I have students that travel. I have students that come in.
Okay,
I had students from California, Texas, from Alaska. They usually come in for a week and stay with us for a week and get the full training within that week as much as
perfect. And then how much does it cost?
you could reach out. There is a number to our call center. You could reach out and our coordinators could talk to you. We have different packages. We have financing available, so they could go over that information with you in more detail, depending on what you're for.
And you said in the internship, we will be working with live patients.
Yes, we provide live training, yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I have never been to New York.
Well, good timing to come, I guess. Do
Yeah,
some
not in
do some
winter time
shopping.
though.
Do some shopping as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was very, very helpful.
You're welcome. Good luck to you. Hopefully we'll see you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody. Don't hesitate to reach out to any of us through the links here on the screen that we sent in the chat, on our socials, whatever works for you guys. And have an amazing weekend.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks, Liv. You too. Have an amazing weekend.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.